The North Saskatchewan River Valley, 1870, a time when the land was wild and untamed, a vast expanse of nature's raw beauty, a land of rugged beauty and untold promise. The mountains stood tall, their peaks piercing the sky, while the rivers carved their way through the valleys, whispering secrets of the earth. It was here that Frank Lemon and his partner, a weathered prospector known only as Blackjack, ventured in search of fortune. They were driven by dreams of wealth, tales of golden riches that had lured many before them. The sun beat down on their backs as they panned for gold. Days turned into weeks, weeks crawled into months. Their hands grew calloused, their spirits weary. Then a glint, a flash of gold in the riverbed, a moment that made their hearts race and their hopes soar. They had stumbled upon it, the culmination of their relentless pursuit, their unwavering belief that the land held treasures beyond imagination. A vein of gold so rich, so pure, it took their breath away. It was as if the earth itself had decided to reward their perseverance. This wasn't just a vein, it was an artery of gold, a lifeline that promised to change their lives forever. The discovery was more than they could have ever imagined. It was a dream come true, a beacon of hope in the harsh wilderness. Little did they know this golden bounty would be the catalyst for a darkness that would forever stain the wilderness. The find was significant. It promised untold wealth, but with great fortune comes great peril. It should have been a moment of jubilation, a time to celebrate their hard-earned success. But as they gazed at their fortune, a change came over them. The glint of gold in their eyes began to reflect something darker. A darkness crept into their hearts, fueled by an insatiable greed. The promise of wealth began to overshadow their bond, their shared dreams. The bond of friendship, forged in hardship, began to fray at the edges. The wilderness, once a place of promise, now echoed with the strains of their growing discord. The discovery that should have united them was now tearing them apart. The gold, once a symbol of hope, became a wedge. It drove a rift between the two men. Whispers of mine and my gold replaced the camaraderie they once shared. The once gentle murmur of the river now seemed to echo the growing tension between them. The wilderness, once a shared sanctuary, now bore witness to their descent into darkness. The lure of riches had a powerful hold. It twisted their thoughts, poisoning their minds. They became strangers to each other. Each man saw in the other a rival, a threat to the wealth he now coveted. The gold had awakened a demon within them. The inevitable confrontation arrived. Fueled by greed and paranoia, a heated argument erupted. Words turned into threats. Threats escalated to violence. Lemon, his face contorted in a mask of rage, struck out. The blow was swift, brutal, and final. Blackjack slumped to the ground, his lifeblood staining the gold-flecked earth. The wilderness, once indifferent, now bore silent witness to the depths of human depravity. The silence that followed was deafening. Lemon, his clothes spattered with blood, stood frozen. The forest around him seemed to close in, the trees whispering secrets he couldn't quite grasp. His mind raced, replaying the events that led him here. Each moment felt like an eternity, each breath a struggle. The enormity of his actions crashed over him. He had never imagined it would come to this. The weight of his choices pressed down on him, making it hard to breathe. He felt as if the very air was thick with judgment. A wave of nausea swept over him. Panic set in. His heart raced, pounding in his chest like a war drum. He could feel the bile rising in his throat, the taste of fear bitter on his tongue. The wind rustled the leaves, and Lemon swore he heard a whisper. It was faint, almost indistinguishable from the natural sounds of the forest, but it was there. A voice calling out to him from the shadows. A whisper that sounded eerily like Blackjack. The name sent a shiver down his spine. Blackjack, the one he had wronged. The one whose blood now stained his hands. The whisper grew louder, more insistent. He spun around, his heart pounding, but found himself alone. The forest seemed to mock him, its shadows dancing in the fading light. He felt eyes on him, unseen but ever-present, watching his every move. The setting sun cast long, eerie shadows. Each shadow seemed to stretch out, reaching for him, pulling him deeper into the forest's embrace. The light was fading fast, and with it his sense of reality. Every rustle of leaves, every creak of a branch sent chills down his spine. The forest was alive with sounds, each one a reminder of his isolation. He felt trapped, a prisoner of his own making. As darkness enveloped the forest, the whispers grew louder. They seemed to come from all directions, surrounding him, suffocating him. He couldn't escape them, no matter how hard he tried. They seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at once. The voices overlapped, creating a cacophony of sound that threatened to drive him mad. He clutched his head, trying to block them out, but it was no use. Moans, groans, and then a scream that pierced the night, filled with agony and rage. It echoed through the forest, bouncing off the trees, reverberating in his mind. A scream filled with agony and rage. It was a sound that would haunt him forever, a reminder of the life he had taken. He could feel the weight of his actions bearing down on him, crushing his spirit. Lemon, his nerves frayed, fled into the night, the ghostly echoes of his victim haunting his every step. He ran blindly, desperate to escape the tormenting whispers, but they followed him, relentless and unforgiving. The forest seemed to close in around him, a never-ending maze of shadows and fear. Section 5. The Disturbed Grave. Driven by guilt and terror, Lemon sought solace in the church. The weight of his actions pressed heavily on his conscience, and he felt that only divine intervention could offer him any semblance of peace. He confessed his sin to a priest. The dimly lit confessional booth seemed to close in on him as he recounted the harrowing events that had led him to this point. A priest who listened with a heavy heart. The priest's eyes reflected a deep concern, understanding the gravity of the situation and the torment Lemon was experiencing. Together, they ventured back to the site of the murder. The forest seemed darker and more foreboding than before, each step echoing the dread that filled their hearts. A small group of townspeople, led by a man named John McDougall, accompanied them. John, a respected figure in the community, had taken it upon himself to ensure that justice, or at least some form of closure, was achieved. Their mission, to give Blackjack a proper burial. They believed that laying him to rest with dignity might quell the restless spirit that seemed to haunt the area. But upon arriving, they found the makeshift grave disturbed. The scene was more unsettling than they had imagined, with the grave appearing as if it had been violently tampered with. The earth had been clawed at, the wooden cross lay broken on the ground. It was as if some malevolent force had risen from the depths to disrupt their efforts. An unnatural chill permeated the air. The fog that enveloped the forest seemed thicker, almost alive, wrapping around them like a shroud. The priest, his face pale, muttered a prayer. His words, though meant to offer protection, seemed to be swallowed by the oppressive atmosphere. As they worked to rebury Blackjack, the unsettling noises began again. The sounds were faint at first, but grew louder, more insistent, as if the forest itself was protesting their presence. Whispers, moans, and the feeling of being watched. Every rustle of leaves, every snap of a twig, sent shivers down their spines. A sense of dread descended upon them. It was as if the very air was thick with fear, making it hard to breathe, hard to think. The priest urged them to leave, his voice, usually calm and reassuring, now edged with panic, cut through the oppressive silence. They fled, leaving the grave and its secrets behind. The forest, now a place of terror, was abandoned to the whispers of the past and the restless spirits that dwelled within. Section 6. Lafayette's search. News of Lemon's discovery and his subsequent madness spread. Lafayette French, a wealthy businessman, became obsessed with finding the lost Lemon mine. He financed expeditions, pored over maps, and interrogated anyone who had ever crossed paths with Lemon. Driven by the allure of gold, he was blind to the whispers of a curse. He hired the best guides, seasoned frontiersmen who knew the wilderness like the backs of their hands. But tragedy struck. One guide disappeared without a trace. Another died under mysterious circumstances. A fire, seemingly sparked from thin air, destroyed French's home, consuming all records of the mine's location. Section 7. Whispers of the Past. Despite the setbacks, French refused to give up. He continued his search, driven by a compulsion he couldn't explain. Was it the gold he craved, or was he, like Lemon before him, ensnared in a web spun by forces beyond the veil? Years turned into decades. French's obsession consumed him, driving him to the brink of ruin. Whispers followed him wherever he went, whispers of the cursed mine. Whispers of Blackjack's vengeful spirit. Was there any truth to the rumors? Was the mine real, or was it a figment of a madman's imagination? The line between reality and folklore began to blur. Section 8. The curse lingers. To this day, the lost lemon mine remains elusive. Some dismiss it as a tall tale, a campfire story meant to ward off greedy souls. Others believe the mine is real, hidden somewhere in the vast wilderness, protected by a malevolent force. Over the years, countless others have sought the lost lemon mine, drawn by the allure of gold and the thrill of the unknown, but the curse, it seems, lingers. Some returned with tales of strange occurrences, unexplained noises, equipment malfunctions, a feeling of being watched. Others vanished without a trace, their fates as mysterious as the mine itself. Section 9. The mystery remains. The legend of the lost lemon mine serves as a chilling reminder. A reminder that greed can corrupt even the purest hearts, that some places are best left undisturbed. The wilderness holds its secrets close, secrets whispered on the wind, secrets buried beneath layers of time and legend. The question remains, will the lost lemon mine ever be found? Or will it remain forever shrouded in mystery, a testament to the insatiable hunger for gold and the price of unchecked greed? The answer, like the mine itself, remains lost in the mists of time.